Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here I share legal and entertainment news from a psychological perspective. I swear this channel is not only about Sarah Boone. Sometimes it starts to feel that way because let me just share this here. So, if you know nothing about this case, I highly recommend. I have this video linked down in the description. So, this was my very first video on Sarah Boone, and since then, like, we have a video on when she was upset with her eighth lawyer, the pretend judge, her 58-page letter, the judge's decision for her to not have a public defender, and then also this was a different letter. This one is under videos and not under live. And so that information is there. I was just minding my own business, enjoying vacation. So, some of you all know I just got back from Jamaica yesterday because I think somebody shared this on X. Yes, yes. Somebody tagged me on X saying that this new letter was out. And I have not read through it yet. I really wanted to read through it with you all. Some individuals that I really respect have already covered it. I have not watched their coverage yet. Recovery Addict, and then also The Lawyer You Know. Those are the two videos that came up in my feed. And so this is a first look. Now, I have taken a brief look at the ad that she included at the end, and I wish she used her talents for like, everybody else is good because oh, you can't hear me at all? Let me know if y'all can hear me. If you can't hear me at all, let me know because 'cause I've been chatting this whole time. So let me know in the comments if y'all can hear me. Alright. So this has been going on for so long, and, I truly wish once again that she was using these talents for good. Oh, all right. We're going to dive right into this. So, this letter, I believe the judge made his decision. Because she did write a letter. I did not cover that one where she was notified that Patricia Cashman had asked to come off of her case. And she wrote a letter to the judge complaining about that. I did not cover that one here. I did want to take a look at this one. Whew. So this was on July 8th, 2024. It was just filed on July 18th. And once these things get filed, people find out and okay. So this is her letter to the judge. Where's my discovery? And it's probably been like a few weeks. Okay? Like it hasn't been that long, but I'm sure they're working on getting discovery to her. I believe the last when Patricia Cashman was released, there was a certain date that she had to have everything to Sarah, and I thought it was something like 30 days. I think that's because I think some interviews have to be transcribed or something, and so I think they need to send something over to Sarah, but her first thing is, "Where's my discovery? I'm still waiting for you to provide me with the contents of what former attorney Cashman supplied to you and the court at the surprise status hearing held in secret on June 28th at 1:30 p.m." She's very upset about this. "Your designated clerk of unfair judgment." Wow. Ticks, I think that says ticks. Ticks. Sometimes her writing is hard for me to read. I don't know. Okay. But your designated clerk of unfair judgment ticks empty and incessantly. Oh, ticks. Okay, the clock. Okay, this clock is ticking. Okay, Sarah, I'm with you now. While waiting for you to deliver. As usual, it's in your favor. This is not going to go well for her. I truly, truly think she lacks no insight or she just doesn't care how her behavior could potentially impact other people. If I was in her shoes, I would not be pissing off the judge. I just wouldn't. And so, Sarah, what do you think it means by her writing into the margin? I truly feel like she has no boundaries and she's just taking up all of the space. Yes. Okay, I thought so. Yay. I said that before I could see your comment. When you write in margins, it means you're a rule breaker. More importantly, it's a sign of lack of boundaries. Exactly. And I just I want to keep putting this information out there and just helping you all make sense of it. And I truly agree, Teresa, that she does so much self sabotage. But then, because of that victim mentality, she blames the judge. She blames Patricia Cashman. She never takes responsibility for anything she's done. In that long letter where she was complaining about Patricia Cashman, she was like, "This is not my fault." Like she's so just self protective and, so on my flight back, started listening to Dr. I think it's Dick Schwartz. Y'all know me and names are not good. No Bad Parts. And in that book, he talks about how sometimes when people have been through a lot, there are these parts of them that end up trying to defend the self. And he's used parts work with individuals that have a lot of really major issues. I would love for Sarah to be able to let the part of her speak that desperately needs to be heard. Like, what is that part of her truly afraid of? And I think that the real fear is that she's going to be found guilty. And honestly, I think it started out covert and now we are just full blown narcissistic traits, especially with the ad at the end. So often a covert narcissist, you can't really tell. Like it takes a while for you to kind of realize. And for me, I got that sense at first, but the more you get to know Sarah, the more she kind of lets it all hang out and you really see exactly how she is. And people often ask, would I work with somebody like this? And yes, if Sarah Boone, so of course, because I cover this case, I would never, if there came an opportunity where I could be her therapist, I wouldn't be a good fit. I've publicly made too many opinions about her. Just so y'all know, if I ever did have a client that was arrested for something, I would never cover a current or former client that was in trouble with the law. I would never cover their case because I know things based on our clinical treatment, and so I only cover things with people that I have absolutely no connection to because I'm able to just give this general commentary on these cases. I do think that now she's starting to show more malignant traits because she's just overtly being like, look at me. This is all about me. Y'all are treating me so unfair." And I went back. I haven't talked to y'all since I watched the interview with her office, her like the housing complex, the apartment complex, the office manager of the apartment complex, who talked about there was one particular employee that used to avoid Sarah just because like it got to be too much and this particular employee would just kind of avoid her. She was at risk of being put out of that apartment if more of them had started having issues coming up. And so I talk about this, but I would work with somebody that was willing to work on their issues. Now, if they were coming in and especially an adult that truly wasn't adhering to the boundaries that were set, and I don't go overboard with boundaries, so I'm pretty flexible with things like clients have a 20-minute grace period to show up for their appointment. If they do show up after that point, then we do have to reschedule. Like I make a lot of allowances for things that kind of come up, But with an individual like Sarah, you would really have to make sure to set those boundaries because based on what I've seen here, she might show up late for an appointment and then demand her entire hour because she deserves an hour without acknowledging, no, like your time is from 2 to 3. You showed up at 2:15, which means you only have from 2:15 to 3. And so with a client like that, I would start trying to wrap things up closer to probably 250, 255, because it could be a major escalation as we're trying to go towards the door. And sometimes individuals that kind of have those types of traits, they might make some statement right at the end. And as a therapist that does things like DBT, dialectical behavior therapy skills training, sometimes I'll just have a client write down, okay, that's thank you. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Going ahead and write that down. And we'll make sure to get to that first next session. Because with a client like this, you would have to have very, very, very firm boundaries. All right. And so let's see. Let's keep going with this. Oh, okay. In your nonchalant, relaxed, unconcerned out in your, but why does it say in your nonchalant? I feel like she started the sentence and then, okay. So, because it should just be your nonchalant, relaxed, unconcerned, in my opinion. I'm okay. No English teacher, but okay. But in your nonchalant, relaxed, unconcerned attitude of me to receive, you are robbing me of precious life saving time to fully and properly defend myself on top of my already and still being violated constitutional rights and being forced to represent myself based on false information. And it's not based on false information. The judge listed out this is what you did, this is what you were warned of, and this is now the consequence. And as we knew, Sarah does not like that. I do not even know what is contained in said discovery after being withheld from seeing all to date and for the first time in said surprise status hearing, along with my supposed digital evidence being produced by Cashman, finally, after never being shown any of during her representation. Once again, I feel like there are words missing, but we'll continue to go. Her response to me when I would ask to review was, "Your first attorney said he reviewed with you." I mean, like, hey, we got to get going. Like, that's to me, that sounds like an appropriate boundary. Like, I want to go over this again. Your first attorney said that he already reviewed that with you. We're about, we're this many months out. We need to get, this is what we need to focus on. And I think if Patricia Cashman had tried to set a boundary like that, I think Sarah sees appropriate boundaries as violations of her rights. And it's just, oh, it's not, it's her perception, which is real and valid. It's just not reality. And that's what the judge, I think, in his order, he tried to clearly lay out. These are all the things that everybody has tried to do to make sure that Miss Boone's rights weren't violated, and this is where we are now. That was over 4 years ago. You're my attorney now, and no, I did not. This is what I had to deal with. I have not seen its entirety, okay, and completely to date. So, and okay, okay, I missed that word. I have not seen in its entirety and completely to date. Okay. Sarah, you are now gonna get an opportunity to do that once you're able to. Please note, I do not have access to a computer to view these materials. I am doing my very best to figure this and everything else out as I go in my newly unwanted, forced position of pro se. So she is going to do pro se. Please do not penalize me even greater than being already. Oh, there's just words missing. I'm trying. Okay, Sarah. Okay. I'd like to see her do and not say that she's trying because often Sarah says, I'm trying, but her behavior isn't, in my opinion, what would fit somebody who is actually trying. Because if she was actually trying, she would just look at the information that she does have. She would be, she would be using what's in her possession. She would be formulating, what her defense can be. She would be looking at, okay, how do I file these motions? Or I don't know, like she would just be doing better things with her time. Now, this was July 8th. Who knows what she's done since then, but when you're stuck in victim mode and nothing's ever your fault, everything else is everybody else's fault, nothing is in your control, it gives everybody else the power. And it actually puts the individual, the self, in a very vulnerable state where I'm dependent on these people to do all of these things in order for me to be okay. And that's a big thing of mine. I never want my happiness, my success, any of those things to be fully in somebody else's hands. Now, there are things that happen that are out of my control. So, most recently, I had a pretty large claim denied. I'm saying over like $1,000 claim denied. And I'm working through the process of, okay, am I going to be able to figure out how to resubmit it? I'm going to have to call, blah, blah, blah. Like it's going to take time to be able to fix it, but I'm going to do what I can do to get this resolved and not just say, you know, throw up my hands, it's all their fault. I didn't do anything wrong. When actually I might have. Maybe I submitted something wrong. Maybe I didn't, put the correct blah 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 down. I don't know. And so, but when you use what you do have and what is in your control, and you realize, yes, there are things I can do in a positive way, not manipulation. Because I think a lot of the things Sarah does is about manipulation and control, and it's not seeking to get these net needs met in healthy ways. So instead of asking, I need these books, I need these resources, which you wouldn't ask the judge for that. Like all the things that she's complaining about to the judge, I don't even know that that's something the judge can even do. I agree. It's been 4 years. 4 years, Sarah, that this has just been drug on and on and on and on. And I agree, she doesn't want control, so she has to blame somebody else when it doesn't go her way. I totally agree because I think if she is found guilty, and there's a good chance she recorded her crime. She recorded it. And she was completely just uncaring. She was taunting the victim. She did not seem to care. And I think there's going to be testimony from the neighbors that might help fill in the blanks of what happened to George during that time. This is about George, and I am a little concerned about how her trial will go because I think she's probably going to have a lot of odd objections. I think she's going to try to get the jury to feel sorry for her, like look at me, look at what the state has made me do. There are probably going to be limits. They're probably not going to be allowed to know that she has to represent herself. I would expect that maybe there are some boundaries that will be set. I fully expect that she is going to push every single one of those boundaries. I am also interested to see if her ex-husband comes in and testifies against her because she called him on the day that police discovered everything. He was there at the scene because she called him. Like he was trying to get her to answer to confirm if she was gonna pick up their son. He has submitted because he's trying to not have to pay alimony anymore because he's paying alimony. And some other YouTuber, I'm not gonna go over that because I'm not sure if some of that is protected family court information, but the court is trying to decide, can they resolve this and then decide, does he have to continue to pay her alimony? Because he's like, hey, if she's going to be in jail, then, like, why should I have to continue to pay her alimony? I don't blame him. I do believe a mental health expert was obtained, and I do think she completed some type of evaluation. I don't even know if the state is gonna have a rebuttal person. They have so much strong evidence that even if Sarah did try to have a domestic violence defense, well, there's a lot of claims of her being physically aggressive with her ex-husband, especially when she was intoxicated. And there are statements of her being intoxicated as early as 9 a.m. And so just kind of all day, just kind of seeming like she is not that it was more common for them to see her intoxicated than to see her sober. That's based on the statements of neighbors and just kind of the people that were around. Oh, wow, Sarah, I didn't even see that. That Sarah Boone had been arrested more for DV than Jorge, than George, I'm sorry, because that's how the family says it. That's how they say it. When I see it, I see Jorge, and that's what I wanna say. But everywhere I've heard, most people say George. All right, so let's see. There seems to be a good question. Let me see. Um, why is there a Sarah Boone fan club? And I don't know that there really is one. So Sarah said that she has a fan club. Now, I do think there are probably some people that write to her or something, but I think she might overestimate the number of supporters that she has because I think she was trying to play up to the cameras at look at how awesome I am. It could just be a few people. I don't know that there really are a lot of people that are supporting her. I don't know. Um, all right, so let's keep going with this. Oh, let's keep going. So this is her wanting a computer. Um, Please know also, I'm in an open bay dorm living with 63 other inmates. I need to figure out how to view anything securely to avoid further exploitation and mean ignorance. Okay. Or like, are those consequences? Like mean ignorance, what if it's just somebody saying you did that? You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't be mean ignorance. There is no privacy or individual access in jail. Cashman, I'm glad I could help. She has some thoughts for Cashman. I wasn't ready. I told y'all this is a first look. I had not seen this yet. Wow. Sarah has some words for Miss Cashman. And Miss Cashman is over there like because I think Miss Cashman could have helped her. I think Patricia Cashman was honestly Sarah Boone's best attempt. If she had let her do her job, she might have been able to at least submit mitigating circumstances. Like she might have, I think Miss Cashman would have done her job. But it sounds like Sarah wouldn't let her because she wanted to control every aspect of it. And finally, Miss Cashman was just like, "You do it." Like, I have other clients. You want unlimited access to me, and that's impossible. So, Cashman, I'm glad I could help you shine in the courtroom in front of the judge by you professionally and finally bringing everything I've been asking for since day one. And after I included you on my letter to the judge, ensuring return, unlike you who did not include me on your motion to withdraw because she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to. Like, so, Sarah, the way you're doing things is inappropriate. The way Miss Cashman did things, it would have been inappropriate for Miss Cashman to inform Sarah Boone, "I can't work with you," before the judge actually released her. Surprise. And I had to find out from someone else, an officer. So that was the letter where she was upset to the judge that she found out that her attorney had requested to withdraw from an officer. Okay. The fact that she's doing this once again just shows, first of all, I didn't think Miss Cashman, like, shined in the courtroom or, like, she was put on some pedestal or really, I think she just did her job. Even if the cameras hadn't been there, I think she would have handled everything exactly the same way. Those are just my thoughts. I don't know her, but those are just kind of my thoughts. It's just so interesting that all of this has to be about Sarah, and it's not. And that's where individuals like Sarah often struggle to accept the fact that everything is not about you. That I don't think Miss Cashman was trying to build a name for herself. She probably saw that she had been assigned this case and was like, all right, let me go on ahead. Let me use my coping skills. Let me, get through this. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm doing this for justice. Because often defense attorneys, they really want to make sure that the courts do their job so that individuals' rights aren't violated. So a lot of y'all follow Natalie Lawyer Chick here on YouTube. She is phenomenal. She is a defense attorney, and I love hearing her commentary just to see like how things should go. And I really loved her YSL judge commentary for that Young Thug trial down in Georgia. Because when I first saw everything that happened in the court, I didn't really realize just how bad it was until she broke it down. Like, oh no, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And I truly think that Miss Cashman was just trying to do her job. Like, I don't think she was trying to be famous. She was probably I don't know. Individuals like Miss Cashman, they get the most difficult cases and they do what they can with what they have. Miss Cashman was the state's last attempt. Like, hey, if it doesn't work with her, we don't have anybody else. And Sarah, you've burned all of your bridges and she won't admit it. 3 days before this surprise status hearing, so you would even know what to bring. Okay. Why didn't you bring to any of your 20 hours of meetings with me? So, Sarah, that would have been inappropriate for her to bring all of your discovery that then you don't have anywhere to securely store. And also, there's your handwriting on some of this discovery where it's clear that you've been provided some of this before. So, okay. Okay. We know your handwriting. We know it. As always, it's in everyone else's favor but mine. Once again, she makes herself the victim every single time. Let me come back to the chat. I truly see a lot of just cluster B personality traits because I also think there's a little antisocial in there too. I don't think she likes being told what to do or having to follow other people's rules or that the rules apply to her. I don't think she saw anything wrong with what she did to George. She has never once shown an ounce of remorse for George. And I don't know if only narcissistic personality disorder describes that. I truly think it goes beyond that. And I don't know her diagnosis. We haven't been able to really say. Antisocial personality disorder is within that cluster. Some people have thought at times that she might have some attention seeking that you sometimes see within a histrionic personality disorder. I personally feel that often most individuals with histrionic personality disorder, they can come across a little bit more likable sometimes. Um, but she does not come across likable at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. And so, cluster B is an old term that we used to use for a group of personality disorders. It was in the DSM-4. Let me see. I will share this tab. So, cluster B personality disorders are characterized by dramatic, unpredictable behavior and intense emotional responses. People with these disorders may have difficulty regulating their emotions and behavior. The cluster B personality disorders are antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and narcissistic personality disorder. And so they just group them into cluster A, B, and C. And I want to say there's a C. Me wrong. Yes, I thought so. What I see the most in my practice is cluster B personality disorders. Every now and then I'll get somebody with some OCD type personality traits, or um, every now and then we have to differentiate. We have to see, is somebody having more of a, are they having schizophrenia, or is there like a personality disorder, or like we have to kind of rule out some different things like that. But all right. So that's that part. All of these often stem from early childhood trauma. I did a video talking about the personality, and how trauma can affect somebody's personality development. That does not excuse behavior at all, but what it does, it just kind of helps me understand. At some point, Sarah Boone might have experienced some, I don't wanna say real, but that's the word that's coming to my mind. She might have her own history of having gone through a lot, and especially really young, when maybe she didn't have as much control. Often personality traits and types that develop like this, sometimes there's a parent that also has other personality traits like that. I do not know anything about her bringing or her childhood. This is just, I'm just talking in general, that when I've met with individuals with this type of presentation, when I try to get to understand their story of how they got to where they are and what's all happened, there's often this trail of just a lot of trauma and stress. In adulthood, sometimes they don't realize how much of that was an inability to kind of provide protection, and possibly some reenacting early trauma. Sometimes having difficulty feeling safe in safe environments. Some individuals with histories like this, they thrive in chaos. So when things are just chaotic and things are just like, what, everybody's just, what's going on, their body, their nervous system might actually be pretty calm, because their brain, their complex PTSD, all those things, like, that's just what they're used to. But when things are quiet and peaceful, that might actually trigger anxiety. That might make them unsettled and nervous. And that's where I've had some clients that I've worked with where we've talked about them getting used to felt safety, them building a little bit of peace, starting to get used to the quiet, and being aware of their tendency when things are going well to sometimes subconsciously, it's often not conscious, to subconsciously stir the pot and make things worse. Now, I have worked with individuals that have antisocial or narcissistic traits, and what they do is it's about like revenge and getting back at somebody. "Oh, you thought you could control me," and then they kind of go back, and it's kind of this tit for tat, very emotionally immature kind of response, because it's often exaggerated and not even like proportionate to what actually happened. Where if, maybe if I'm running late to a session, somebody saying, "You're the worst," I don't know, like one time, if I'm late one time, the individual just saying, "Okay, I can't work with you anymore." And I do know that some individuals' nervous systems are that reactive, and that's why I try to make sure to be consistent. I try to make sure that people know that their times are their times, and then we work through anytime things come up. If we're able to work through it, we do. And if we're not, I give them referrals to somebody that might be more appropriate. All right. All right. And so, yes. So with Amber Heard, Dr. Curry said that, and she did not fully meet criteria for any of those diagnoses. And she had features of histrionic and borderline personality disorder. She did not meet the criteria for any of those full diagnoses. Sarah Boone likely meets criteria for like one of those full diagnoses, I'm sure. And you don't only want to judge somebody by their response during stress. So we would also look at what's her personality like with the inmates in jail, with the guards, with, like you would kind of look at their behavior with other people, not solely with the court. Because I do think a part of this is an act and this role that she's playing. And for me, I wish she understood that this is not going to be helpful for her, and in the long run. I think she likes the attention and press that it gives. I try to help just provide that psychological side of like, hey, let's try to make sense of how an individual could kind of get to this point and just be so blind to the impact of their behavior. And so let's keep going. How much real time will I have to prepare and properly, especially okay, so, like, she doesn't finish the sentence, but it's okay, and I don't always finish my sentences, so I have grace for that, but how much real time will I have to prepare and properly, especially the fact you have me doing everything while incarcerated? Like, because she wants bail. What happens when more time must be utilized to discover where my lost discovery is? I've been asking for repeatedly for depositions to locate my witnesses, contact anyone via collect phone calls. She wants them to pay. That's a real hurdle. But now that she's defending herself, I wonder if she maybe she'll be able to subpoena people for depositions. I feel sorry for those individuals that have to do that, but she might be able to coordinate that now. I don't know. Wow. Because a collect phone call, that person has to accept that collect phone call and pay for it. And jail collect phone calls are expensive. Wait to receive transcripts, any records, everything I need. I finally build I need to finally build my defense. Or is your plan, Your Honor, to just leave me out to dry in a hurricane? Oh my gosh. Ugh. Your time constraints are extreme and unreasonable. Your decision you claim to have considered from your order is illogical and unfair, specifically that it has been malformed by your ignorance and experience of my case, misinterpretations, straight lies from the attorneys appointed. There should have been an and, but it's okay. They are brazen to stand at your pulpit in your courtroom and commit perjury to your face and the world. But yes, it's me. Wow. Claiming that the attorneys are lying. And that's where I think the attorneys likely will have records of everything that they're saying. She in her letter to the judge admitted that um she walked out on meetings, that she invented pretend judge. Like, the judge could have denied her a new attorney just based on the last letter she submitted, and yet she's never gonna accept responsibility. She just won't. It is my belief, and from your order, that actions speak louder than words. Wow, she used that. So I would have said that to her, that she needs to have her actions that she's trying, like, actually match, because her words say trying, but her actions say, ugh, that she's sabotaging herself. And she says, "The court is sabotaging me, forcing me, pressuring me, setting me up for failure." So she's totally gonna blame them if she's found guilty. If any of the prior attorneys would have included, cared, collaborated during their time of representation, you met met? I don't know. I don't know what that word is. You something being brainwashed, impartial from believing everyone over me and implementing your intricately misconstrued, unfair order formulated from I would not be writing yet another letter, would I? She probably would, but would she? But would she though? I think she would be writing another letter. S so aggressive, so aggressive. Judith, she's always saying everybody else is the problem, and yet she is often the problem. And Sarah, the size of her ego is so large, and the reality just does not match what everybody else sees. So that's how you kinda know, am I the problem in all of my situations? So in every situation I encounter, am I always the problem? Then maybe there's something I need to work on. Maybe, just maybe. And she won't, but okay. And so the judge can just ignore this letter. This letter is not a um a legal document. This letter is just the musings of an inmate. And so the judge could just ignore this. She hasn't filed a motion. A motion would be sealed. Like if she filed a motion for her discovery, she needs to file motions and stop filing letters. But I think she wants the attention from letters because we don't get to see what happens until they have hearings about motions. We don't get to see what's submitted that way. Let me see. Oh, thank you. So you know who's squandered life-saving time? Sarah did. Time in which she could have saved George's life, just saying. I agree. She really could have, and she didn't. She just didn't. All right. Sarah, she so this is Sarah Adams saying, "She is more angry than ever, fewer boundaries." Exactly. And then, unless the lawyer is willing to argue that Sarah is 100% innocent because it was an accident, no lawyer will be good enough. And Aaron, we're going to get to her ad in a minute because I think that person also has to be available to her 24/7, possibly 24/8. Like, because Sarah might have 8 days a week instead of only 7. And that's snark. I'm sorry. I like the snark. This is this is just whoa. Remember when Brooks was so rude to the judge? He would go back and forth between almost being aggressive because at one point the judge felt she did not like the way that he was looking at her because he had these menacing looks that he would do. And it seemed like he was trying to intimidate Judge Juro, and she paused the court and just so she could get herself together, come back, and he could calm down, and they were able to continue. Then at sentencing he inserted his whole nose up her backside. Wait until sentencing, Sarah. Can't wait to see your face. Exactly. So Judge Juro let him have it. I'm pretty sure I covered his sentencing here. I could be wrong. I'm almost positive I covered Daryl Brooks's sentencing. I'm almost positive. I might not have. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Welcome to anyone who came in later. All right. Do you think this was a joke at first? Did you think this was a joke at first? The ad? But nothing Sarah does is a joke. Like, if it was a joke, this would be a great, like, skit for Saturday Night Live or something, but she's so serious. She is so serious. I'm not sure why Daryl Brooks is in a wheelchair. I don't know if they just shackle him to the wheelchair, because they're concerned about I don't know. But he was very compliant in his last hearings. He allowed his attorney to fully handle the charge for him against his ex. He let his attorney fully handle that. All right. Dr. Barry, has Sarah Boone had a mental diagnosis? Not that we are aware of. She is competent to defend herself. So competence is more, do you understand who the judge is? Do you understand your charges? Do you understand not that you agree with them? But just do you understand? And she has the basic understanding to be able to defend herself. Remember, she did a law library, a law definitions at the end of her the letter before Miss Cashman filed to come off. And so, yes. Um I'm hoping that this trial goes smoother than Daryl Brooks's. He had to continuously be, like, taken out of court. He was very erratic. He was, like, spitting. I don't think Sarah will want to come across menacing and aggressive. To me, Daryl Brooks, I would've if I was on that jury, his behavior was concerning. and he seemed erratic, but not necessarily like where he didn't understand what he was doing. He did have a competency eval, and he was found competent to stand trial. He tried to throw out a bipolar diagnosis. He came off more the personality traits seem to be pretty prominent for him just based on my opinion, but yeah, my personal not having assessed him, doesn't know him. And Judith, I do believe the judge, because this comment says Boone will delay her trial for as long as she can. And this judge has said October. I think it's October 7th, I think. Like, this judge has said, we have preliminary hearings starting in September, and we are proceeding in October. And we will see if he if he stands with that. But we'll see. All right. Just checking the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Oh, we're gonna get I can't believe we're not done. We're only on page 4 of 7. Okay. Let's let's keep going. Oh my gosh. Okay. In the meantime, while your clock ticks cessant cess ceaselessly? Is that a word? Ceaselessly. Ceaselessly? Ceaselessly. Oh, wow. I think she has got to have a dictionary. I think she has a dictionary and a thesaurus. I have never heard that one. Now, I've heard of like ceaseless, like I've heard, but ceaselessly, I've never used that. Now, I have a speech impediment, so that's not a word that I would like, because that's just a word that I would get stuck on. That's why I would stay away from that word, but okay. While your clock ticks ceaselessly and loud as I wait for you to deliver anything, even more fingers are noticed. They really do point back, and I am defending myself against your inaccurate, libelous. Wow. I can write letters to order. This 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 is this is the first look. This is the first look. I can write letters too. No, Sarah. No. So, but it's not so this isn't what I'm doing here is I can't believe she said that out loud. So there is like an inside voice and an outside voice, okay? And even if I was thinking about this, like even if I was thinking this in my head, because he counted the days, okay? His letter, his order, I think was professional. It was thorough. It was all the things that I think legally he had to lay out to make sure that her rights were protected. But Sarah, what? I could write letters to order. Please, would you post my included document in your break room? No, he's supposed to help her get an attorney? Sarah, no, no. What? When what? This it's not the judge's job to help you find a lawyer. I can't. I can't. I'm stuck here. She wants him to place her ad in the break room. And he didn't even know. I would have loved to have seen the judge's face. Judges have to be impartial. And I just I wonder what the judge's real reaction to this. I wonder if anybody chuckled a little because I wasn't prepared for her to ask him to put it in the break room. Wherever you think it may be seen and understood, unlike me in your courtroom. Sarah, we completely understand you. There's a difference between being heard and understood and somebody disagreeing or you not getting your way. Like I can hear you and your motion be denied. I can hear you and you don't understand the law. I can hear you, and based on your behavior, you no longer get a court appointed attorney because your expectations are not anything that a public defender or any really, I think any attorney, but let's just go with public defender is going to have to do. Like nobody should have to put up with pretend judge. Let's pretend the judge is here and you talk to me without that attitude. What? No. All right. How about by the copy machine where your TAs maybe TAs should have made me the news crews, court TV, professional YouTubers and photographers, the world, a copy of the notice of hearing where all aforementioned improprieties occurred and then some, including the drop off of my case materials, said order being ordered, and me being pulled by my uniform to exit your courtroom while still trying to speak and defend myself against all the mayhem and chaos, especially the surprise of even being there unprepared and without notice. But they don't have to give you notice. They didn't have to, because that hearing was to decide if Miss Cashman was able to be released. Oh, wait, my posting everything supposedly is public record. Yeah, no, not supposedly. These letters are very public record, and there is no notice at all. Another, it's in your favor moment. It's in your favor moment. I don't get it. It's a group effort. Saboteurs. Surprise. I shall return. Nothing is impossible. Believe. Did somebody give her like a like a daily gratitude journal or something? Because this feels like something you would see on a gratitude journal or something. Nothing is impossible, believe. Hopeful, grateful, waiting. Thank you for posting, Sarah Boone. Remember, please, Judge Kraynick, fair, neutral, impartial. You must be always. I think he has been. And then she had the nerve to put a scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And then you can also like obey laws and not be this way and do these things, but I don't know that she can. So before we get to this next part, I just can't. Sword of justice. Did I can't. So a narcissist and faith that gives you like Chad Daybell and like you don't want like that's when they go and start cults and stuff. If you get somebody that is kind of charismatic and they go and they start a church, and so please, no, Sarah, don't go start a church. Now for the ad. And now this is just looking at it, okay? So I'm gonna make this bigger and I'm gonna zoom back a little bit because this is where a lot of people commented, like, she could have had a job at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's has beautiful signs. The signs are always beautiful. Like and that was a comment. Somebody left a comment like, I wish Sarah could do like a Trader Joe's sign, or maybe she could have been a graphics designer. Maybe she could have put this to use in a good way. The one thing I personally think, so these are my personal thoughts, in my opinion, Sarah Boone does not play well with others. And when you are a graphic artist, when you're a graphic designer, you typically have a client and you have to do what the client wants. Now, like as the artist, you can say, okay, these are my recommendations. This is kind of what I think might look nice. But if they say, this is the font I want you to use, you can't be like, you're dumb. Like this is no, like you can't, you have to work well with the client. And I don't think she could do that. I don't think she could take directions and feedback. Because let's say, could you imagine? So Sarah Boone doing this for somebody else and showing it to them, and they're like, "Okay, but could you change this? Okay, I don't like this part, and I want you to change this part." I think she would explode. I don't think she takes feedback well at all. I don't. I don't. I don't. And so, all right. Um, so in my personal opinion, I don't know this for sure. So this question says, do you think Sarah is on any medications currently? So if she had severe alcohol like if she was alcohol dependent, she may have needed medication because for somebody that excessively consumes at a high level, them stopping immediately, they can sometimes become very, very ill. And so sometimes they need medication to get sober. And so I don't know what she was initially on. S In my personal opinion, Sarah Boone has more situational issues. So when something doesn't go her way, she explodes. When she doesn't like something, she explodes. When she's not getting her way, she explodes. There is no pill for that. Now, sometimes what doctors do is they try to give maybe and I'm gonna give you the first one that came to my mind. They try to give an antipsychotic or an anxiety medication. They try to give something that can maybe help kind of regulate the brain and body more. But some individuals, even with medication, can still display a lot of these behaviors because it's more about character. It's not just like a chemical imbalance. It's more of this is their personality. This is how they are. And in my personal opinion, when she's not getting her way, she escalates. Because I think some of her letters and things, I feel like things have been getting worse and worse. And she's been getting more not not Daryl Brooks erratic, but like erratic for her. Like she's Somebody even noticed that at first her handwriting seemed a little neater. Her handwriting to me is still neat enough. I'm not a handwriting expert. My handwriting is hideous. Okay. I don't even think I have anything near me with my actual handwriting on it. I normally take notes online. I like to type. I'm a very, very fast typer. And so Sarah, you notice that her writing has gotten a lot sloppier. And I do think that she's getting desperate and she's trying absolutely anything. And individuals with personality disorders, when they get desperate, sometimes they can get themselves into more trouble. And yes. All right. Welcome, welcome, Starkey. I was a bit late and saw the bit about writing in the margins. While it could be a boundary problem, be aware that it may not have a psych root. Yeah, could just be shortage of paper. Yeah, is limited in jail. Exactly. It could just be a shortage of paper. Her last letter was 58 pages. 58 pages. And so, um, yes, because I could see her demand. The guard would probably give her paper for free if it would just make her leave that which kind of reinforces that behavior. And so that's why individuals like this, you have to set very clear boundaries from the start. It's really important to have boundaries. All right. So, let's take a look at the ad. I saw this and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I went to Jamaica and I didn't have a way to share my screen. So if I went live, it would only be me and I wouldn't have been able to have this too. I didn't take a computer with me. And I'll have to figure out if I can do StreamYard from my I don't know, I have to figure it out. I haven't tried that technology yet. And I wanted to get back here to do this properly. So thank y'all for waiting for me. Somebody mentioned, yeah, Lamictal is used for bipolar disorder. Correct. Plus, it can help with alcohol withdrawal. I do not know if she is on any medication. And even if she is on medication, I still think some of the things she's displaying, like, I think goes beyond, yeah, what we used to call Axis 1. Um, all right. So, inmate seeks attorney. Looking for a prosperous challenge? Prosperous. Wha- mm, okay. She's a really good hype person. Ready for your close up on national television? Are you zealous with a side of keen? Show the world who you are with your original creativity, extraordinary expertise, confident ingenuity. Ingenuity, yes. All right. Qualifications must include being trustworthy, honest, passion driven, open minded. I wonder if there's going to be anything about like having a good attitude, but okay, we'll keep going. Exceptional problem solving skills to help explain the fact that I recorded my crime and it looks bad. It looks really, really bad. It looks really, really bad. Okay. Client inclusion at all times, team orientation, collaboration. But I think she sees herself as equals with the attorney, and the attorney does know the law, does know more. And inclusion at all times? Because that could be like I don't know that I'd want to include the person at all times. Extreme efficiency in listening, communicating, and understanding. But I think she views if people don't agree with her or do what she says, in my opinion, she thinks they're not hearing her when they might just be providing an alternate view, an alternate like, wait a minute, okay, so this is why that's not going to work. And I think you're not getting it. You don't understand. No, like you're not accepting the reality of this is the law. These are the options we have. And this is what I recommend. Dedication to success, possessing a winning mindset, compatib- yeah, capability, yeah, of excellence and representation, committed, maintaining, making this a little bigger. Okay. Maintaining faith in the client in case okay, I think I yeah, capability of excellence and representation committed. Okay. Maintaining faith in the client and case with the ability to think differently, overcome all circumstances, including me recording the crime. And the explanation I gave on the 911 call not being what hide and seek is. Because I think it's on the 911 call that she says she zips him that she zipped him in there. I think that was on the 911 call. Epic opportunity awaits. She gives her name and inmate number. Invest in the oppressed? Believe she's not the oh my gosh. Oh my. And Sarah in the chat, I saw you put the invest in the oppressed and I hadn't got there yet. I hadn't got there yet. Wow. Wow. Judith, I hope that she understands that explaining doesn't equal an excuse. And I think she thinks her case is a lawyer's dream because I think she thinks if somebody agrees to represent her, they will get famous. But mm, I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh my gosh. So I have said Better Call Saul because I did watch Saul Goodman. Saul. It's the lawyer from Breaking Bad. Oh my gosh. There's a difference between somebody being truly oppressed and you being in jail because you're charged with a crime. I just call Tyrone. He's not even a lawyer, I don't think. Maybe he is. I don't know. And that's where there's a personality delusional and then a Lori Vallow like delusional disorder. So Sarah Boone delusional is an inability to accept information that she does not like, information that she does not want to hear, information that she does not agree with. That's different than like Lori Vallow believing that her children are in a better place and that she freed them from the that's a very different, and she was diagnosed with spiritual delusions and okay. And she in no way admitted how her beliefs and her behavior, Lori Vallow I'm talking about, how what she did, like that was what she wanted and Chad wanted for them to be together with no children. Like nobody, they don't talk about that part. And so that's very different than Sarah Boone, in my personal opinion, her saying, like, if somebody doesn't agree with her, that they're not listening, that they don't hear her. Her truly, she might really believe that she has a strong case and that anybody should be able to prove that this was an accident, despite like there is like contradictory evidence. Like there will be some things they have to explain. The state has a pretty strong case. And I don't even know all that the state has. And so it's a lot. It's a lot. And I do think that she would want to be the person's only, their only client because she wants all of their time, attention. And I don't know that it would ever be enough. Because I think once somebody starts trying to kinda be there, it's never enough, and because a part of this does kind of feel like a delay tactic too. It does. It does, and so Starkey, do you think she will put herself on the stand? I think she will want to tell her story. And it's my understanding from the lawyer if she does testify on her own behalf, she will get up and just tell a narrative story. And the judge will give her boundaries for what she can and can't say. And then the prosecution will be able to object, and then once she's done with her narrative story, if she does testify, the prosecution will be able to cross-examine her and ask her questions. But what about this? So let's talk about the rules of hide and seek. Everybody, but like, because on this, you said this, but like, and you said you were having a good day, but you said that you had no wine, a bottle of wine, y'all shared a what, like, there's help us kind of put all this together, and I don't think she's gonna handle being cross-examined well at all, if she does decide to testify. I don't think there's any chance that she doesn't tell her story, because I think she desperately wants that spotlight. I think she wants to be on court TV. Will I cover it? Yes. Oh, yes. I will definitely cover it. I will just kinda watch the case and see how much of it I cover, but I don't. Um, and it's my understanding that her drink of choice, I think, was vodka. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true. I've seen it a lot in the comments that her drink of choice was actually vodka and not wine. And in my personal opinion, she did not like it when they tried to present a defense about alcoholic blackout. I think that was the thing that she got upset about, and, with attorney number 7, I wanna say, either 6 or 7. One of those wanted to bring in an expert to talk about alcoholic blackouts, and she got really upset and did not want that. I don't think she wants to be portrayed that way, despite the fact that that might be a way to present some mitigating evidence, but I don't think she wants to do that at all. Once again, her ego is extremely fragile. The one thing you have to remember is that somebody with just antisocial personality disorder, they know exactly who they are. They have a pretty strong ego, okay? But somebody with so I hope I said antisocial first. Somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, they have a, ooh, like their ego is very, very thin ice. I'm talking a breath could break this ice. That is how fragile their ego is. And yet they present as though they are a Winter Olympics ice skating rink that can withhold, thousands of pounds and tons when they can't even have like the most minor bit of feedback. They just can't. They just can't. They are incredibly fragile and they're actually very insecure and they don't want to look dumb. They don't want to look like they don't have it all together. They don't want to be guilty. Well, it's not that anybody does, but especially somebody that's a narcissist. She does not want to be a convicted murderer. She doesn't want to do that. But like she won't sit back and be quiet and like let her lawyers do their job. Yes, she does not want to be judged. Exactly, Sarah. She does not want to be judged. All right. Why do you think folks like Sarah give us such intense sexism and secondhand, maybe secondhand embarrassment? Is it the childishness? Um, so I don't feel because I don't think Sarah feels embarrassed about anything she's done. So I personally don't feel embarrassed for her. I don't. I feel for her child. I think her child might be about 15 years old right now. I feel for Jorge's family. Those are the people that I feel for in this. I don't so the narcissist, their defense mechanisms actually protect them from feeling sad about what they've done and like so if you don't accept blame, you don't feel bad for what you did. If you don't accept responsibility, nothing's ever your fault. And so that can sometimes be a defense mechanism to protect someone. So I personally don't feel sad for her. I don't I know that deep down there's likely somebody that is hurting. In my opinion, she doesn't see how her behavior hurts others. She has very little regard, in my opinion, just based on what I've seen and heard from all of the interviews, from all the coverage, from everything I've seen. Even her attacking the judge, in my opinion, attacking the judge and Miss Cashman in this letter and saying that previous attorneys have committed perjury, all of those things like, this is Miss Cashman's professional representation. For her to say that she was trying to, get her 5 minutes of fame, I'm paraphrasing, that's not exactly what she said. That's incredibly insulting, and I don't think she feels bad about it. So I personally don't feel when I see this, I don't feel embarrassed for her. I don't think she feels embarrassed about it. I feel for the victim and his family. Um, and I shared there's an interview on the community tab. If you haven't seen the interview with George's mom, it will break your heart, okay? It will completely break your heart, but I did share that on the community tab on my page, and it's somebody else's video. I didn't do a video covering it because I really wanted to promote that original video and his mom and one of his brothers talk. And it's the brother that Sarah allegedly made him hang up with on I think on the night that he died because she wanted to use the phone. And I'm sure the brother is glad that like he got to say I love you and that they had a decent conversation, but my heart truly breaks for that family, especially as they have to see her kinda make a circus of all of this. But this judge is not taking no crap from anybody, okay? I just got back from Jamaica, and I think of the Jamaican bobsled team, and that, like, so Cool Runnings was one of my favorite videos growing up, and the one guy, he had to talk to himself in the mirror to stand up to his dad. I think it was like yes, and so that's what's playing in my head right now because I'm so glad that somebody stood back up to her because we could still just be going on and on about just, her motions and giving her yet another attorney. And so it was, I think it was like, "I'm a strong motherfucker." Sorry, I just think I don't take no shit out of nobody or something like that. Like, I think because he was trying to stand up to his dad to tell him he was on the bobsled team. Mm, so when I was in Germany, I lived in Germany, from when I was in middle of 4th grade until the end of ninth grade, and we only had what was called AFN. So that's Air Force Network, like, television. So that was all we had. It was one channel. The TV went off at midnight. So Whitney Houston would sing the national anthem at midnight, and TV would end at midnight, okay? This was back in the 90s, all right? And, we also had German channels, but I didn't speak German, and we could sometimes get some British channels, and, so we would sometimes watch those, but a friend of mine in the States recorded Sister Act 2 and Cool Runnings on a VHS tape. So we used to have to rewind it all the way back to the beginning, and we used to watch Sister Act 2 and Cool Runnings back to back, like, I've seen that movie so many times. It was one of my favorites. I know. So this Saturday, I'm gonna cover my Jamaica trip, and, so Sarah, this was the '90s, and this was in Germany on an Air Force base. So the cable was one channel. And if we did, so my mom didn't like to pay for cable, but I don't even think we could pay for something. I don't know that we even could. And anything available would have been like so we could get German channels in German, and I did not speak German. Sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch, but just a little. I speak a little Deutsch, but not a lot. Not a lot. And so that's what we did. I know the whole dance to the end of Sister Act 2, but Saturday, oh, Armed Force Network. Thank you. I thought it was Air Force. Yes, armed, because I think it was all the armed forces would have that same one. Thank you, Christina B. I was on an Air Force base. Um, but yes, it was all AFN. Yes, yes, yes. Who did Cashman depose? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Does anybody know in the chat who Cashman deposed? I truly think Trash Panda, I think Patricia Cashman could have been Sarah Boone's best hope at possible mitigating evidence, maybe getting a lesser charge. She's only charged with second, not only, but like she's charged with second degree. Um, she's not charged with first degree. I think the state has a very, 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 very strong case. And so, but Saturday, I'll be doing a review of my Jamaica trip. If you don't like that type of content, ignore that. That's not my normal content. That's just what I'm going to do this Saturday. And if there is any other court stuff that happens this week that I'd like to cover, then I might do like a back to back on that day. Thank you to the 360 something of you all that are watching. I truly appreciate you all. And I will see y'all on Saturday. Bye.